Sandy Rogers, this is such a delight to, we're kind of getting to that place with the 11/11/22 launch. And actually, we had the pre-launch before that. We're Golden Wisdom of Love, Legends, and Legacies. I always have to look at it to make sure I don't get the words mixed up. So how has it been this year to bring this book together? And what's this been like for you?
For those who didn't know, Sharyn and I did a book last year called Wisdom of the Silver Sisters. And, it was our first experience of doing anything like this. And with your guidance, we managed to get through it with grace and pretty much ease. This one is a completely different energy than that one was. And part of that, I'm sure, is the Wisdom of the Silver Sisters was all women. And this is men and women. So that obviously changes the dynamic quite a bit.
It does.
But from a perspective of people wanting to contribute and having everything brought in a timely way, it's been very different. It's been like herding cats.
Trust me, I understand that one.
And so it's been an experience. I mean, it's been a great experience, but it's a very different experience than the last book was. So we're learning a lot all over again. I'm sure with each book that happens, but we're grateful. We have 35 authors, and we're doing a section this year. I don't know if Sharyn talked about it, but we're doing a small little section that we're paying an homage to some people who've authored other books, who've authored singular books and have been out there. And it's just our way of saying thank you for being a way shower for others, for being an author, for stepping out into their own authenticity. So we're adding a very small section to the book for that. So we're grateful for it. And it's going to be a surprise, because nobody's going to see this until after the book's published. So it will be a surprise to our other authors that we're going to pay that homage. So, yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Well, it's such a privilege to be able to walk with both you and Sharyn through this journey. But it's also interesting because I get to do all the interviews and get to meet everybody. It's really a lot of fun and very, very touching. It's been really amazing. So what about your chapter?
It's always a surprise to us because we don't get to see the interviews until the book is done. So it's always a surprise to us when that happens too. So yeah.
Well, it's pretty cool. So what about your chapter? What's the name of your chapter this year?
I'm still working with the title to my chapter, but the topic of my chapter is paying homage to a dear friend who passed away in 2007, who was an author herself. And it's to her last book that she did, which was called The 5-Year Journal. And the gift that she gave me and the privilege that she gave me was to help care for her in the last couple of years of her life. And one of her last wishes was that her legacy be continued and that I continue to get the book published. So it's been in print now since 2000. In a couple of different formats, but it's basically a book where you journal 3 lines a day for 5 years on one page. And she was a massive journaler. She had books and boxes and volumes of journals that she herself had done. And so my chapter is going to be a compilation of some of her writings. She had an email subscription list that she once a month she did something called About Journaling, and she would send tips every month to her subscribers on the benefits and value of journaling. And one of the things that's maybe a challenge for me when her name is Doreene Clement, and when Doreene asked me to do this, we had a laugh about it because I don't journal. Yeah. I never have. I mean, I've tried over the years, and it's just not something that
Comes
turns me on,
natural.
that lights
Yeah.
my fire, that,
Yeah.
you know, it's just not something that works for me. And so when she was still with us, I used to take her to book signings. She went a lot of times. She would go to Changing Hands bookstore in Tempe, and some of the Barnes and Noble when they were still around, and Borders when Borders was still around, and Barnes and Noble. So it was always fun for me to be with her in the audience, and she would acknowledge me and say, "And this is my friend that doesn't journal." So it's not for
She doesn't
everyone.
walk the talk.
It's not for everyone. So, you know, when she asked me to continue the legacy, it was really hard for me to do that, because for the reason that I felt kind of like I was inauthentic, being the publisher, being a quote, a co-author of her book. So it's for me doing this chapter. She passed in 2007. So it's been 15 years since she's
Wow.
passed.
And I remember her,
And
and that means we've known each other a long time.
her original book was published in 2000, way before there was publishing like we know it today. She self-published, but it wasn't like having an Amazon like there is today. And her original book was a beautiful, beautiful book. Doreene was a very successful, at one point in her life, was a hugely successful businesswoman with several different businesses. And finances she was well financed, self-financed. And her original book that she did in 2000 was a beautiful leatherette dark green cover with a copper embossed name. That's the only thing that was on the cover, was copper embossed name, the 5-year journal. It had acid-free paper and a satin ribbon page marker. I mean, it was a beautiful book.
Those days are gone. They're different now, aren't they?
Oh my gosh, yeah. And you know, I think she had 10,000 copies printed that she warehoused, and she did all the shipping. And toward the end, I helped her do it. But all the booksellers she would ship directly to, not only the Amazons, but the Baker Taylor and all the big distribution centers. So she would ship these books to, and she pretty much sold all those books. But toward the end, when her health was gone and her money was gone, she did go to one of the original, I think, self-publishing companies that are out there now. And he convinced her to do 2 different covers. One was an open book. It was a picture of the book inside, and it was a kind of a blue cover. So he called that the masculine cover. And then the other was this etheric white flower, and he called that the feminine cover. And so it changed the dynamic of the book, even though the interior, the content was the same. The paper was not the same. I mean, it's the paper that we have today. So it changed that dynamic, but the book is still in print today.
That's
and
truly
people
amazing.
are still buying it. When she passed away, that publisher canceled the contract with me after a couple of years, and it took me a couple of years to find another publisher to go with. And this was before you were doing any of this. And I went with a company that I'm pretty happy with. They've put it together. I made the cover a dark green cover again, and just the title on it. I took away all the other stuff. But that book has now been in print since 2000.
Amazing.
And it continues to be bought. I mean, I'm amazed when I get my quarterly reports, the numbers of books that are still being bought out there.
That's beautiful.
So, you know, so this chapter, I really want to honor her and honor her legacy. And I'm getting a little choked up. She was an amazing woman. She was just an amazing woman. She was a legend in her own time.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
in her own time. Yeah. And love was her foundation. I mean, so the title of our book is this has to be who I honor in this book with
Absolutely.
Love, Legends, and Legacies.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there's so much such richness in these nuggets of beautiful sharing that everyone is doing, including your beautiful story, because she was quite a legend in her own right. Yeah.
You know, one of the things that was difficult for me was putting my name on that book as an author. because it wasn't my work. And one of the things that Doreene had done is that every page in that book had a quote. I mean, she had books that were like this thick of quotes. I mean, again, this was back before internet was like it is today. So she bought books and went to the library and found books of quotes. And so her original book had all these beautiful quotes in it. And it took me a couple of years. Actually, it went out of print for a couple of years because I was having difficulty putting my name on it. And how I came to a resolution with that is that I changed all the quotes in the book. I did a lot of research, went online, did a lot of research. So this new book has different quotes in it than the original book does. And that was the justification that I gave to myself to be able to put my name on it as the author.
That made it you.
Yeah, it was difficult. And that one came out in 2014.
What a
So
beautiful story.
that book is, and I'm just amazed at the people who are still buying this book, even though it's been copied, quote unquote, several times. You can look for the 5-year journal, and there's lots of them out there now.
There is
with that title. But I distinguish hers by the original 5-year journal, which it probably wasn't, but for this purpose, it's what I do when I market it. So
beautiful.
I'm excited to write her story.
I'm excited to read it. Yes, that'd be so awesome. And
Yeah.
that's your legacy too. It's quite beautiful. Well, thank you for a beautiful interview. I really want to thank you and Sharyn for what you're doing, the wisdom that you both show and share to bring this, to unite the amazing people that you've been able to unite, and to bring another magnificent book in the Guiding Grace series to the world in such an extraordinary way. So thank you
for everything that you've done for us and so many others. So we just really honor you and thank you for that.
I feel honored, and I feel it's an honor to be able to do this because of the wisdom that's coming forth from these things. Beautiful.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
Much love.
Lots of love.